Hello everyone, it is Arika Misha. Thank you guys so much for clicking on today's video. And I have my notes here, of course. And today I want to speak about no process, no promise. No process, no promise. All right, let's start off. I figured I'd start off by first defining, when I was doing my Bible study, spending time with God, speaking to God, God had me go to the dictionary, to look up the word process. Process, a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. All right, and the scripture that God led me to was James, the first chapter and the 12th verse. All right, I have it here already. James, the first chapter and the 12th verse. All right, and it says, "Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord promised to those who love him." That's the scripture that God led me to. No process, no promise. And of course, by reading that scripture, we all know the promise is the crown of life. That's what God led me to. And as I was talking to God, I was just, how we do. A lot of times when we're going through things, we always, let me just say, I was talking to God, and I have to be honest, I found myself, complaining a little bit. Not really complaining. I think it was more of a woe is me, oh God, how long am I going to go through? You know how we do. And God was just speaking to me, and God said, no process, no promise. And he was just speaking to me about how we as his children, we have to go through the process. We have to go through the trials and tribulations, because we all know what happens. Our trials and our tribulations, they help develop our faith, help develop our relationship with Christ, help draw us closer to Christ. And that's what God was saying to me. He said, no process, no promise. It's part of the promise. It's part of the process. We have to go through. We have to go through different things in life. We have to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got to go through it all. And God was saying to me, no process, no promise. You can't just get the promise and don't go through the process. And that's what God was talking to me about. And that's, we want the promise. We want the blessings of Christ. We want the benefits of living for Christ. We want all that, but we don't want to go through anything. But God was telling me that's part of the promise. You have to go through the process. We have to go through trials and tribulations. We have to go through what it is that God has designed for us to go through. We have to go through. And I said, you know what, God? I said, God, I totally get it. I understand. And, I began to thank God. And I said, I've been living for God for a long time. And it never seems to amaze me how it's like every day when I spend time with Christ and I read my word and God speaks to my spirit, it never seems to amaze me how he's constantly teaching me. He's constantly teaching me. And a lot of times God has to remind me. He has to say, hey, did I not tell you this already? Did I not take you through this already? Haven't I been there for you before? It's like, why is it that God has to constantly remind us? Why is it that he has to remind us that he's always been there for us? And God was just telling me, haven't I always? He said, there is no promise without a process. God said, you think you're just going to live for me and everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be amazing. You're not going to have any more problems, any more sorrows. Everything is going to be great. Everything is going to be lovely. Your life is going to be perfect. And that's what God was just telling me, as if he hasn't already told me this over the years that I've been living for him. And that's one thing that I love about God. He constantly reminds me of things. When I'm going through or when I'm talking to him about this or that, God says, let me remind you. And why is it that he has to remind us? And God said, okay, all right, well, remember this, remember that, remember I did that for you. Remember last time when you were dealing with the same situation? God said, did I not deliver you out of it? Did I not? And God was just reminding me. And I wanted to let you guys know what it was that I was talking to God about. We have to go through the process. We have to go through. I know personally, I don't like the process. Sometimes the process is a little hard, Sometimes the process can seem unbearable. But it is what we have to go through as God's children. We have to go through the process in order to receive the promise. We have to go through the process. And if you want the promise, you've got to go through the process. And that's what God was saying to me. You have to go through the process, because God said, through the process, I'm making you a better person. I'm teaching you to have greater faith. God said, I'm teaching you to be more Christ-like, be more like me. God said, I have to take you through the process in order to get you where I need you to be. And I said, God, like I said, as if he hasn't told me this before. God has told me this a million times. And that's what I mean. And when I was talking to God, I was like, God, I know you've told me this a million times. And it's like we know because we've been there, done that. We know. But that's what we do. We find ourselves, back before the Lord saying, oh God, I'm this, woe is me, I'm doing this, I'm going through this, and when are you gonna step in? But yet we know without the process there is no promise. Gotta go through the process for the promise. And that's what God wanted me to come and talk about today. No process, no promise. We have to go through as his children. And I thank God for reminding me, because in his reminding, it gives me stronger faith. It gives me strength to get through the day. It gives me strength to get through what it is that I'm going through, that he's taking me through, the process. But yeah, that's what God wanted me to come and talk about today. No process, no promise. And yeah, so make sure you guys click on the link in my description box. That is to my second channel, guys. Over there, please show me some love and support over there, guys. I am doing hair, makeup, nails, DIYs, reviews, grocery hauls. I'm doing all types of stuff over there, guys, on my channel. So make sure you guys come show me some love and support. The link will be in the description box. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on my spiritual journey. This is Arika Misha. Thank you guys so much for watching, and God bless. Bye.